everyone, my name is Ksyusha and welcome to my favorite lesson, Storytime. Today we continue reading our favorite, wonderful book, Snow White. But firstly, let's remember what's happened previously. So, once there lived a princess, Snow White, yes? And she had a stepmom, the queen. This queen liked to talk with her mirror, and once, when she asked a question, the question was, who is the fairest of them all, of all people? The mirror answered that it was Snow White. So the queen became very angry and she sent a man to kill her daughter. But he couldn't because he had a good heart. So then, in the woods, Snow White found a small house where 7 dwarfs lived. And Snow White started to live with them. But once the mirror told the queen that Snow White was still alive, and the queen was very surprised and very angry, and she made a spell and turned to be small and old. And she found this house where Snow White lived. She found Snow White and gave her a poisonous apple. So after one bite, Snow White fell down on the ground. So, are you ready to hear what's happened next? Let's start. When the dwarfs came home, they found Snow White lying on the ground. How they cried! They all adored her. They built a coffin and in it stored her. Look, these dwarfs came home and they found Snow White lying on the ground, yes? And they built a coffin for her. They all were very sad because they liked Snow White. Back at court, the queen transforms and takes again her usual form. Look, yes? Now the queen is like herself, yes? She is young and beautiful again. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? The mirror sighs, you are the fairest of fair. Snow White's gone, what more do I care? Look, and now Mirror told the queen that she was the fairest of them all. A prince rides by and sees Snow White. She must be mine. It's love at first sight. Look, this time a young prince came by, yes, and he found Snow White and he fell in love with her. They lift the coffin, then they stumble, and out of her mouth the apple tumbles. A yawn, a stretch, she lifts her head. She's reborn, Snow White's not dead. Look, they made her alive, yes? Because she coughed and this poisonous apple came out of her mouth and now she is alive. Meanwhile, Queenie has a thought. She asks the mirror to report. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? The mirror says, cue applause. It's Snow White. She shoots, she scores. The queen goes mad. She turns all red. Her hair falls out. She drops down dead. Look, the queen again asked the mirror, yes, and she became very angry, yes, and terrified because Snow White was still alive. The prince asked Snow White for her hand, and all the dwarfs a song they sang. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? The mirror said, I speak right. Fairest of them all is forever Snow White. Look, Snow White and the prince got married, yes, and they all lived happily ever after. It is the end of the fairy tale Snow White. Now let's remember what's happened in this part of the fairy tale. So after Snow White fell down on the ground, yes, almost dead, dwarfs came and they made a coffin for her. But then came a nice, charming prince. Yeah, he saw Snow White, he fell in love with her, and he helped 7 dwarfs make Snow White alive again. After that, the queen found out about Snow White, that she was still alive, and she became very angry and she fell down and died. And after that, the prince and Snow White got married and they lived happily ever after, and they still were friends with these 7 dwarfs. So thank you very much for watching this video. See you next time. Bye bye.